Hi Ali, how are you doing today?
Thank you, Christoph. I'm good. How are you?
Very well. It's the end of day one of Fintech Connect in London, one of the last events of the year. Very busy, a lot of great conversations. So thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us today.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
So I've been following Rabobank for many years on the digital, social sides because you've been very involved. From the very way your structure as a financial institution, to your eagerness to build great relationships with customers using digital and social has always been at the forefront to me. I mean, I'm always interested in those customer relationships. So thank you for that. Yeah. Today, if we just frame the conversation, we're going to talk about your part of the business. So you'll explain everything in a second. First of all, congratulations for winning quite a few awards this year with Signicat, but you'll explain that. So Stellent, I think, in June, and Bob's Guide more recently. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So who are you? What are you working on? And what's the relationship then with Signicat?
Yeah, sure. So I work for Rabobank, which is one of the largest Dutch banks. We have a lot of clients, more than 8 million consumers, more than 800,000 business clients. And I work there as a product manager, especially focusing on digital identity, where we're working together with Signicat. We have a joint venture there in the Netherlands called Rabo eBusiness, where we have a digital identity platform. So we've been doing this for over 2 years now, and recently got awarded with some great awards for the partnership that we're having in the Dutch market.
So again, that must be quite exhilarating to get some recognition from the global industry. So again, congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Digital identity, and it's extremely important, of course. The idea is to be as frictionless as possible and empower your customers so then they can focus on their core activities. So could you please explain again what it means and what that partnership is? What did you accomplish with it, with your new platform?
Yeah. It's a great question. So I think it's good to give you an understanding why we started this partnership.
Please.
I can speak for the Dutch banks that we lost the market for payments, and the reason why we lost that market is initially we had this great product which we developed as banks called Ideal in the Netherlands. It was a payment method, but the way we distributed this product to our clients, which are the merchants, was done poorly. Why? Because we focused on one method, which was Ideal, our own method, and we provided this via a very difficult technical integration. So when we went to our clients and said, well, we got this great payment solution for you, but it's just one solution and it has to be done via difficult technical integration, their feedback was, I don't want it. Can't you just give me an API, an easy plug to connect? And I also want different payment methods, PayPal or Visa or whatever. And we didn't have that available. So payment service providers, for example, Adyen or Klarna or Stripe, became big in this business because they created a platform providing different payment methods and making it easy for the merchant to connect with these different methods. We lost that battle, and as Rabobank, we thought we got a second chance with digital identity, where we have exactly the same thing happening. We have these new identity methods. In the Netherlands, we have a new identity method, relatively new, called eDID. All the Dutch banks are following the same strategy, an old payment strategy, which is providing one difficult plug. As Rabobank, we said we can learn from the payments market. We should make a platform, different propositions, and providing an easy plug, an API to our merchants. And that's why we are working together with Signicat, having this joint digital identity platform for providing our Dutch merchants with an easy connection to these methods.
So that's fascinating, actually. When you're in a industry where like one method or one is adopted by pretty much all the banks, how do you ensure differentiation then? Is it again the simplicity of the connection, so you remove complexity? How do you position yourself, and how much is Rabobank different from your competition there, and hence make a difference to your customers? So we believe firmly that you should have
our client, the merchant, should make their own choice in what kind of method they're offering. So our clients differ in their risk approach, in their risk appetite, and the legislation that they have to adhere to. So we have clients where they could use an identity with a low level of trust, for example, a social login, so it's a Facebook login or a LinkedIn login. But we also have insurance companies as clients, which have to adhere to AML legislation, so they have to get an ID document scan, facial recognition for liveliness switching. So we believe that our merchants should decide which method, and our job is to provide all the methods which are relevant for our customers. And the part of the question was, how is this different than the rest?
Yes,
if you compare it to the Dutch banks, but even banks internationally, Rabobank is the only bank who invests in this platform strategy for digital identity. We have a lot of banks who are customers of digital identity methods, but they're not using it in a commercial way. We're really using it to help our customers, our B2B customers, with this kind of services, and that really sets us apart from the rest.
So that's unique today on the market in the Netherlands, yeah.
But also internationally, because you mentioned the Sealand Award.
Yes.
We received that award in the US. We received awards in the UK, and I think the markets in the UK especially are more involved. So they see that it's very difficult for a bank to work together with a tech firm.
Yes.
That's why we get awards in the UK and not in the Netherlands, because the market there is less involved in this space.
Which is interesting indeed, like to get that international recognition, and not necessarily at the local level, but I really like that actually. So you facilitate, you help with digital onboarding, but I can just assume that I know that there's a lot of potential challenges in order to do that effectively and efficiently with your customers. Can you please talk us through some of those challenges?
Yeah, so it's very difficult. What's so difficult? We have different kind of aspect. You have a human or a cultural aspect, because the cultural aspect or the human aspect is that the offline processes are tangible. So the old school processes of identifying our customer is done face to face or using paper, and that's something tangible, so you can understand them. If you want to change to a digital manner, it becomes intangible, so you can't control it. So we have to educate the humans working in our own organization and the organizations which are our customers, that the digital way meets a higher level of standard, but it isn't perceived that way. So that's the first one. Second one is that legislation is also based on paper processes and offline processes. So we could now implement digital ways which are safer, more secure, but the legislation wants an offline process. We have, for example, in the Netherlands, tax law that requires you to see a physical copy of a passport. Well, we could make that process digital, but it wouldn't be correct with the law.
So you're basically limited as of today by the current regulation. So if I step back again, does it mean that Rabobank is taking or is going to take a more proactive role in terms of trying to modernize the regulation in the Netherlands? And you've started to lobby,
I would love to say yes, and we're trying to. Obviously, we're trying to talk to the government. We're trying to talk, for example, to the tax authority in the Netherlands, because we firmly believe in this market of digital identity. We're trying to, but again, it's not that easy.
It's a long,
as you can
lengthy
imagine.
process with a lot of barriers.
Indeed. So the government and the tax authority have different interests, of course, than a bank.
Yes.
So it takes some time to convince them and to get everybody on board.
So that's more of a low burner initiative, but I'm sure you're focused on trying to move, to push for modernization again of the regulations. If you talk about again one of the values of digital, right? It's not only just scale, so doing things quickly or treating bigger volume, more efficiently as well.
Yeah.
But it's also the matching processes and the ability to really confirm that an identity so how big a role data and AI and ML is playing today on your platform, or are going to play in the next 12 months?
Yeah, a big role, a huge role. But maybe to clarify, we're basically a shop. So a lot of people use the platform term, I use it as well, but we're a shop. We provide products in our shop. And those products are going to be AI products or machine learning products. And we still have to discover what is and what isn't possible. I've talked about legislation. Legislation is sometimes outdated in what is possible now. So it's going to be very interesting in how new machine learning algorithms can identify a person, and if we, as a government, as a tax authority, as a bank, are going to accept what the machine sees and what a human eye sees. So it's going to be very interesting, and I think that it is going to take a huge role.
So it's very much a live and learn process, experimentation, exactly, to fully grasp the potential. And as you say, the reliability as well of that system, because that's probably the main concern is it really, can we really trust it? And
yes,
with minimum manual intervention and processing. But as we know, actually, from where we sit at the Fintech Power 50, we're managing relationships, we're dealing with loads of various fintechs, a lot of them in RegTech. And RegTech, again, is a lot about, KYC, EKYC, AI, so ML, to make sure, again, exactly, they can help their customers ramp up, modernize, and meet their risk criteria using modern technologies to do so. So to me, it's one of the most fascinating elements or within the fintech industry, because it's so important.
Yeah.
And we're talking about risk, which is critical for any bank. We're talking about automation, so lowering the operational costs, so driving efficiencies as well, and removing friction, so providing at the end, hopefully that's the goal, a better, cleaner, faster customer experience as well. Onboarding being key in that whole process. So I think I'm very keen to follow you closely in the next 6 to 12 months and to see what's going to happen there. But if I step back again, and I know you're busy, thank you for your time. So one of the last questions, digital onboarding, it's not just about banking, right? So many industries, or pretty much every industry is trying to find ways to be compliant, manage risk, and yet again onboard people, customers more quickly and more effectively, efficiently. So do you have any good examples from outside financial services, examples which might be source of inspiration for you at Rabobank or should be for banks globally?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I have an example within financial services, but I think they're a little bit different. Those are the example of the cryptocurrency exchanges and the digital banks. What I like about their model for onboarding is, I call it sometimes freemium onboarding, because it reminds me of the freemium mobile apps, where you could buy or just install and download an app for free. But if you wanted to have add-ons or get to a level quickly, then you could buy additional stuff. And the same thing is happening with those cryptocurrency exchanges and the digital banks. You get onboarded easily, welcome. We're happy to have you here. You can have a look around, you can try some things, but if you want to really do business, then we need to see your ID document. And if you want to take a loan, then we need some additional information. So you let people play around, get the feeling, understand what the value is that you're providing, and then asking for additional information. Where we as banks, for example, are asking tons of upfront, a lot of information, and we haven't welcomed you in yet. So I don't think that's a good example. That's why I like the freemium onboarding model of the cryptocurrency exchanges and the digital banks.
So that's a good example, yes. It's interesting, freemium, I haven't heard that for a long time, but you're right.
Yeah.
So because one of the key challenges, though, if we take an analogy of the freemium model, is to drive install of the apps. I mean, when you think about it on the mobile, how many people will do it? What's the reason? How easy is it? How much impact it will have? Can I see the value?
Exactly.
And if we extend the conversation, it's fascinating because we're touching the sharing economy almost. We're talking about we need sometimes more data from you, but this is why we need more data. If you give more data, we provide you with a better experience. We make your life easier. We give you added value products and services. And I think here, there's a lot of analogies actually. So it's all about data.
Exactly.
AI, but convincing people of the reason why they should share so much data. So I like the idea of not being too data heavy upfront, but create that what we call zero moment of truth. Provide a great experience without having to ask like a gazillion data to your customers or prospective customers. So do you see that as a tomorrow or in 6 or 12 months, 18 months, like a trend? You think more and more financial institutions would be prepared to do that, to offer such a freemium model? Or
I would love to see that, but I'm also, you have to be realistic, because a lot of banks are also now facing KYC issues.
Yes.
So in the Netherlands, all the banks are facing KYC issues, so I have to, if I want to convince the board for Rabobank to
say good luck.
Yeah, exactly. to accept a freemium onboarding model at this moment, where we have a lot of pressure coming from governments, because there's a lot of financial crime, financial fraud going on, to introduce this kind of freemium onboarding. I think it's going to be a very short conversation with the board, but I hope we can get around and see the value of this kind of onboarding.
But I guess it's good that it exists, because then it helps you potentially build a business case and try to convince of the value of using such an approach. You're right, it's very forward thinking as of today in the industry, so that seems a pretty tough sell. But and anything else from outside financial services which is worth mentioning today, or in terms of onboarding? Or that's the main example you'd like to put? I think
that's the main. So outside of financial services, I haven't met one exactly. I wouldn't also focus on an industry initiative. I think if you want to have an initiative, it should be covering a lot of industries. So what I like, for example, is in Belgium, you have It's Me. It's a collaboration between banks, telcos, working together, and the government to come with this digital ID, this e-ID, and it works very well. So they've done a great job covering a lot of industries to get a lot of clients and making it easy for everybody.
That requires a lot of, you're right, a commitment at the highest level, like the involvement of the government and all parties coming together. Do you reckon that's a healthy model for the future, for globally? Ideally, every nation or a country would adopt such a model?
Yeah, globally is a different ball.
No, at the national level, but that would make sense. That would simplify, again, onboarding and help the customers actually doing business with a brand or a company a bit more easier than otherwise. Well, thank you very much for that, Ali. Again, congratulations for all the awards. I hope you'll, and I don't doubt that you'll get many more in the next 6 to 12 months, so all the best with that. Thank you, and hopefully we'll catch up soon to check on your progress in 2020.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.